My guest is right here in the studio. Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji is an agri expert. Good morning, Dr. Ajisefinni.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you. Yeah, you've listened to in that report, you see that report, of course, you see the reaction, and of course, you've also listened to some of the reaction from our viewers there. What will you say is responsible for the drops now that we are experiencing in the prices of tomatoes and other vegetables?
Thank you very much. It's not a surprising thing, it's expected, because price determination in agribusiness is something that is differential, depends on the market. And when we talk about the market, that is the middleman between the farmers and the market. As rightly said, this is the harvesting period, and we all know vegetables are perishable goods that cannot be kept for long. Therefore, the supply is becoming higher than the demand. What about the quality? That's another thing. Is it the right type of vegetable we are taking, or whatever we plant is what we get? But thank God this is happening, and we pray it will affect other agricultural products. Thank you.
Do you expect this price decline to continue?
Exactly, yes, but depends on what the farmers put into it determines the price that they will sell.
All right. We're going to talk more on that when we come back from this break. And after the break, Bola Oyeleke is the president of Tomato Producers Association of Nigeria. He will join the conversation all the way from Lagos. Don't go away. Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust Television. And of course, we're looking at the continuous or the declining in the prices of tomatoes and other vegetables in major markets across the country. And my guest is right here, Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji is an agribusiness expert. And of course, we are being joined already by Bola Oyeleke, is the president of Tomatoes Producers Association of Nigeria. He joins us virtually from Lagos. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good to have you. Let me ask
Good morning, sir.
Let me ask you, why are your members reducing their prices?
Good morning, sir. Hello, hope you are hearing me from the studio.
I can hear you. Go ahead. Why are your members reducing prices of their commodities now?
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Oyeleke Bola Job, the president of Tomato and Orchard Producer Association of Nigeria. You can see, just like your experts have said, this is the harvest period. And the good thing is that harvest is coming from the north and the southwest. And that is why you find out that there's a lot of supply in the market now. And once you have a lot of supply in the market, you'll find out that there is a crash. There will be a crash in price, and demand will be able to purchase in a greater place. Actually, there is still a demand from Kaduna, Abuja, and so part of the country. Why some prices is still not favorable to the consumer, like in Lagos here that I am, it's going down, but they still feel that more should be done just because of the transportation costs. But we are also doing our best to make sure that the dry season production is being put in a better shape for all the farmers across the country, so that we'll be able to take away logistic money out of it, and other parts of the country too can experience more decrease. So for now, there is so much of harvest going on, and that's why we have to start preparing for the dry season.
Indeed, some people have also said that the drops in prices can actually be attributed to the hunger protest that lasted 7 days. That most of your stocks that you had then, because the markets were actually closed, we were unable to dispose them, that you're actually trying to do that now.
No, that is not the factor. If you're hearing us from different interview to another interview, we'll be saying that this August there will be a decline. We have seen it, and they will be saying that there will be a decline in the price because just started the harvest of tomato, and other parts of the country too started the harvest of tomato. So that is like before the protests and before around that June, July, we are preparing at that time, because we have a lot of challenges on pests, climate change. So at that time, the other production that's supposed to complement at that period was we are waiting to make sure that all the farmers are able to harvest at that time so that the price can crash down. So not because of the protest, but because we are seeing it that in this period there will be a crash down of the price.
All right, let me come back to the studio now. Dr. Ayodeji, you've listened to him. Do you foresee any stability in prices? They did say that between August and November, we should expect some stability in prices.
You mean price of vegetable or generally?
Tomato, vegetable, and of course, other products in the market.
Well, it's very difficult to predict stability in our prices because each category is fixing their own unilateral prices. And we used to say it, and I'm repeating it, where there is no price control, we cannot get free and fair price of the commodity. Just like the president said, the consuming states still have that high price. Why the producing states? Because of the high competition of supply that is going into market, irrespective of the size or kind or types of the tomato, is forcing down the price. Being a perishable product, you know their lifespan is very short.
Absolutely.
Therefore, every one of them wants to push it out to wherever they can get. And pushing it out means what? Moving to the state that are disadvantage of production. And moving to that state, logistics and so many factors will contribute to the high price of it there. What is the way forward? That state you are saying that they are consuming state, how do we make them to become also a producing state? So that at that level, there will be enough of it.
All right,
to stabilize that price.
We're going to get to that. Somebody did raise a concern with regards to the ongoing flooding in many parts of northern Nigeria. Of course, we know that most of the food we consume in Nigeria are actually produced from the northern Nigeria. All right, now we see states like Jigawa State, we see states like Bauchi State under serious flooding. What implication? And of course, according to the NIME prediction, there's going to be more rainfall. Of course, we're going to see more flooding. All right, so what impact do you think this is going to have? What happened after November?
Well, there will be little food scarcity since we have the NEMA have predicted that there is going to be a flood. What do we expect? In 34
states.
In 34 states. And this has been announced some months back, even before the farmers goes to farm. What I think we would have done before now is to prepare for such. We have been complaining of flooding system in Nigeria. What effort are we making to reduce the impact of it on farmers? That has not been looked into. And the implication of that is, being the state that are producing the consuming foodstuff, the number of farmers there will reduce. There will be high rate of yield, decrease in the returns from the farm, and that will influence and increase the scarcity of food.
Maybe most farmers may even turn to just regular subsistence farming.
That is just the truth. And that is why it is now the responsibility of some people, because I used to say it, now that in governments, we say government, public sector, I mean public-private sector.
Partnership.
PPP makes foods available. What is the responsibility of the people? That is the public that is there. It is not the federal government that will go to the farm. It is not the state government, but the local government, because they are the closer to the grassroots.
You can't exonerate the federal government completely, because they also need to provide security as well.
They will provide the security, but the provision and control and the escalation of flood should come from the grassroots.
All right. I will not agree with you completely. Okay. But let me go back to Mr. Bola Oyeleke again. Mr. Oyeleke, like I did ask here, what happened after November? You say we should expect price stability from August to November. What happened after November?
Yeah, so this is where, just as the expert said, this is where the state government, the private sector need to come in now, because as the farmer are preparing for the dry season farming, we have to make sure that we put everything in place, like land preparation, When we get our land preparation right, we will not be talking more about climate or flooding. It's because our land preparation is not mechanized, which we need to start putting into consideration with our small scale farmer. I will tell you, I'm in Ekpeye, I'm in Ekpeye, Bejuleki, Badagry. I will tell you, assessing tractorization is one of the difficult things that the farmer are facing. You can imagine the whole local government of Ekpe can access one tractor to plan for dry season.
Wow.
So these are the problems that the small scale farmer are facing. So for we now to have price stabilization, we have to make sure government have to make sure they come in, private sector need to come in, so that when the farmer enjoy the financial aspect and the technology aspect of farming, you will find out that the government, the private sector can determine the price. But if we leave everything in the hands of the small scale farmer, there will be a problem because the small scale farmer, if they go out of the way to borrow loan with high interest, they have to pay. So this is where we have problem, challenge in price. So government need to go into the business of agriculture. Private sector need to go into the business of agriculture. Contribute, let this financial be more easier to access. Let all the input be more easier to access. Let there be tractorization for land preparation, which is one of the key of what we are talking about here.
Indeed, you are in Lagos State, and we understand that Lagos State has the largest population in Nigeria. Over 20 million people or thereabouts live in Lagos State. Most of the food that are produced in northern Nigeria are actually transported to Lagos State. And somebody did say in the studio that instead of, some state just being a consuming state, there should be a way that it can actually be turned as well into a producing state. What effort or engagement are you having with Lagos State government in order to, have more people producing tomatoes and other vegetables in Lagos State?
Okay, actually, we have been engaging since when I came to the Lagos. I'll be engaging with the Lagos State government under the Trade and Commerce and the Commission of Agri, which they have been fantastic, very, very okay. We are trying to see how we're going to do micro garden cluster for Lagos State to increase the productivity too among the farmer, among the women, among the youth, where they will participate. And then we are even including the school because we find out that there is a lot of land. There's a lot of land in the secondary school, state government secondary school in Lagos, where students can participate too in contributing to the national development by increasing productivity of food. So we have been engaging with them. We have been engaging with the private sector too to see how they can come in, especially providing tractor for small scale farmer, for land preparation, for good land preparation for technology. So we have been engaging. We have been trying to do all our best. We have been trying to do our best to make sure that Lagos State and other states like Ogun State to contribute to what Lagos State can consume, like Oyo too can contribute to what Lagos State can also contribute due to the population. So that is what we are looking at. We are looking at how the road will be able to be free from transporting from north down to the southwest. Because let me now give you one point. We have industrialization in processing of tomato, especially in the north. We have the bigger company like GB Food, Sona, that demand this product more to process. And the competition between the raw material and consuming fresh tomato has been a bigger problem now in our system. And again, our population is increasing. So we have three factors that we have to deal with: the population, the industrial revolution, and the fresh eating revolution. So we have to look at all these things on how to decentralize our agriculture to make sure that we're able to meet up all necessary factors for purchasing in the market, open market.
All right. right, interesting there. Let me get back to the studio, Mr. Ayodeji. How can we make Lagos State or turn Lagos State from consumption to production states?
I never made mention of Lagos State. I said states.
Well, I'm talking about Lagos State and other states generally.
Sincerely speaking, if we are to pick it from the southern part of Nigeria, southwest, southeast, and south-south, Lagos State is trying their best in vegetable production. Just like what the president said, that part of the state is Badagry are agricultural local government.
But most of the lands they have been bought over.
That's what I said. That
in years to come,
yes,
there won't be any place to farm in Lagos State.
The truth is, government needs to bring up a policy that agricultural areas should not be converted to residential or industrial area. Most of the agricultural area have been converted to become residential. Yes, our population is increasing. As the population is increasing, we should think of what day we eat. And you can see it. Nigeria is a country of over 200 million population. What is the 10% of that 200 million? Does that 10% equivalent to the food that is coming? That policy is not there. Every state wants to make money, wants to generate revenue, wants to provide housing scheme. What about the food those people that will stay in the house will eat? It's not well considered.
Absolutely. You are an agribusiness expert. How can we commercialize agriculture on a large scale? They've been saying that government has no business in business, but you can't actually take government out of it.
Sincerely speaking, governments of recent have seen that they have business, but not a total business. Infrastructural development, equipment provision. I listened to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture some 2-3 weeks ago that federal government is ready to support state governments with farm mechanization equipment, that federal government is importing some numbers of tractors which will be distributed to states that are in need of it. This is what we are expecting. Look at what the president said. We are going into dry season. Dry season farming is more capital intensive compared to rain-fed season.
Absolutely.
And based on that, financial provision needs to be made at single digit to those farmers that will be going into dry season farming. Coming back to your question, commercialization of agri in Nigeria needs to go back to farm settlement policy that was in place in the 70s and early 80s.
Talking about the greenhouse.
Not even the issue of greenhouse, clusterization of farmers together, where they have common facilities to benefit on. If, for example, the Southwest governors agreed, they said they agreed that they want to have farm settlement in place again. What is the meaning of that? Bringing farmers of same crop under one free facilities usage. That will help the farmers. One, the issue of insecurity will be solved under that atmosphere. Availability of all the resources at a very discounted rate.
Don't you think before we get to that, the challenges of climate change need to be addressed?
Yes, it is to be addressed. That's why we don't need, in Nigeria now, what has happened to agri in the last few months has taught us a lesson that we need to start planning for when there will not be rain. And meaning that each farm or each farmer must make alternative provision.
But the thing is that Nigeria is blessed with a number of rivers. We have a River Niger, River Benue that cut across almost all parts of northern Nigeria.
Yes.
A River Niger cut across almost all parts of Nigeria. Why are we not taking advantage? We go to Kaduna, there's River Kaduna, there's rivers in almost everywhere you go. Why are we not taking advantage
Let me throw that question back to you.
Of these rivers that are actually part of us?
The way we can take advantage of all these available rivers around us in Nigeria is to get the farmers close to that area. The commercialization you are talking about, how can we push the farmers to that area and stop using that area to become another purpose? Because farmers that has no access to water you are talking about in their smallholder community, how are they going to benefit from such? And the only way they can benefit is, on Sunday I was at a farm, highly impressed with what they are doing in that village. All these smallholder farmers contributed money to get a pumping machine, and the meters of where the river is almost a kilometer to their farm. You know what that means? But because they are running agribusiness, they make provision for water. And that should be the lesson we should take from the droughts that happened in the last 2 months to our food insecurity.
Exactly. There are quite a whole lot there that you have said. But let me bring in Bola Oyeleke again into the conversation. Mr. Oyeleke, part of the challenges facing some of your farmers have had a cause to interact with them is some diseases that is destroying tomatoes. Some call it total absoluta. What are you putting in place, or what kind of advice are you giving them to address that?
Yeah, thank you very much. Total absolutely showcased itself, I think, around 2018-19 in Nigeria. And we traveled to Brazil to learn more about this disease. And we find out that in Brazil is a major problem that they are facing. But what to learn from them is just what we're discussing about land preparation. Our land preparation is not very adequate in Nigeria. And that is why you find out that we experience this disease. Yes, this year, because of the climate, we have problem from the beginning of the climate, the late rain, the heat, and the everything that comes in that did not allow us to control most of the diseases. And that is why we face a lot of problem, a lot of reduce in the production of tomato and other vegetable. But what we are trying to tell our farmer now is that your land preparation should be very adequate. We should take time to make sure that we have land preparation. But before we can able to do a standard land preparation, we have to make sure that we involve tractorization for the small scale farmer, so that all the clusters that work farm together. And again, we have to look at timely. Timely is very, very important for all the farmers to start producing to start planting at the same time after even land preparation. The timing is very, very important. Getting access to the input and seed at a timely time to make sure that they're able to plant at the same time. So this helps to drive away most of this disease out of the farm. Because once your land preparation is very adequate, very okay, you'll find out that you have less diseases around your farm, and you will not even apply much fertilizer to the farm. You will be applying lesser fertilizer to the farm. These are the importance of land preparation, and these are what we are trying to introduce, teaching, creating awareness, training across the country for the small scale farmer. And that is why we say that the government, private sector need to come in as we are training them, teaching them, and every other thing. They should be able to get the right equipment to farm. Just like the expert said, it's not about the greenhouse alone. Because of our population, our open field is a God blessing for us. We can.
Hello, Mr. Bola, are you there? All right, let me come back to the studio now. Like he is saying, he's been talking about few challenges, but there's one that is very, very, I think is very
field irrigation, and then we can get greenhouse farming
and lack of storage facilities. How can this be addressed?
For vegetable farming, the harvesting period is a critical period in that area. Let's take a case study of tomato. Harvesting tomato after they might have get reddish is not the best way. The durability of it will be shortened. And it is being advised that if you are a tomato farmer, my due respect to the president in the house, tomato or any kind of pepper, immediately you know they are matured. You don't need to wait for them to get reddish. Don't allow them to get ready on the stem before you harvest them, and start the movement of those products from the farm to wherever you are going, because perishable products needs to be taken good care of. They don't like it.
I hope the president is listening to you.
I know he is my leader, therefore,
yeah,
as the president of the tomato farmers, I am one of his members. But the best way we need to do movement of our product is another thing. The way people pack vegetable in Nigeria, we need to change that style.
Like moving vegetables all the way from north down
to Lagos under what kind of condition?
Sometimes they spend 2-3 days on the road.
What if the vegetable, let's categorize, is already ripe from Kano, and they add 3 more days to their transportation from northern part to the southern part, or south or southeast, what will happen when by the time they get to the market, they become they become what? And you know they are full of water.
Yes.
The moisture content in it is high. On the road, how hygienic are they packed? We need to put this into consideration.
So what mode of transportation do you think we should adopt in transporting our food items?
Well, before we look at the mode of transportation, we look at the packaging style. How do we package our fresh vegetables? To God be the glory, I've noticed that they have stopped using this, our local basket, and now using crate, which is number one plus to the movement. And the kind of vehicle we use matters a lot. We can't use the same vehicle we use in moving animals, ram, goat, cow, to move vegetables like tomato and pepper. They need some cooling system. God will bless our organization, God will bless Nigerian farmers, bless the association, to have our own cooling system that will be moving a vegetable from one point to another point, so that they will have that temperature required. The required temperature is what we did, but because of our population in Nigeria, movements of logistics involved in moving vegetable from farm to town is the major challenges that government needs to look into and see how they can support the farmers. Movement using rail will have been the best.
Exactly. So that is where we can get all our rail system to work
perfectly for haulaging of our foodstuff. It will reduce the cost, reduce the risk of being damaged while coming.
All right, let me take the final take from Mr. Bola. Mr. Bola, if you're there, I was asking with regards to the challenges with post-harvest losses. What kind of facilities or storage facilities are you putting in place to avoid all of this? Mr. Bola, are you there? Okay, all right. We're having challenges reconnecting with Mr. Bola there. Now, let's drive this home now. We've raised quite a whole lot of issues with regards to how all of these things can be done. But the president did raise a question with regards to some tomato manufacturing producing companies, and of course, the war between consuming fresh and, of course, consuming the one produced locally. Talking about tomato paste produced locally now. So what sort of advice would you have for Nigerian consumer who most likely would prefer the fresh one from the market as against those who want to sell to tomato producing firms?
You see, the tomato producing firms are using paste, and they have their specified type of tomato breed they use. Most of them use seedless tomato. And such type should be for the paste production specifically, and for paste production specifically, it should be a thing of cluster farming for specified off-taker. Why the one we are used to?
Do you think some of the manufacturers or producers should engage farmers specifically on this production?
That's the best way for them to go, because they too are contributing to the scarcity and high cost of this tomato. Most of the farmers now prefer to sell to them than to the open market. And that's why the advent of greenhouse is coming up every hook and corner now for those that have the capacity.
All right.
But the truth of it, for the producing tomato paste producers in the country, we welcome you. What we need from you is get your own agro farmers together and make it known this is for our factory.
Absolutely.
Because the cost of production of that type of tomato is not as cheap as the open market's own.
Absolutely. All right, I'm sure they have listened to you, and of course they'll do just as you said. Dr. Ajisefinni Ayodeji is an agribusiness expert. I must thank you for your time. And of course, Bola Oyeleke is the president, Tomatoes and Orchard Producers Association of Nigeria. He joined us all the way from Lagos. I must thank you for your time and contribution on Business Daily today. With that is a wrap on the show today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I am Yusuf Akubu.